Thank you for taking a look at the Nyx-CyD. This is a ongoing project right here. I did release it a little bit early. I am not completely finished with this. However, it is far enough to where you guys can go ahead and finish it and do it the way you want. Yeah, I got something right here. Yeah. Now it's on my screen. So, like I said, I have this as a dedicated night vision module, cyberdeck, terminal, whatever you want to call it. However, like I said, you don't have to run the night vision. You can just make it into a complete power beast and run SDR modules inside there, your GPS module, maybe a DAC board, an audio system, and you can turn these into your speaker ports rather than vents. So there's a lot you can do with this. There's a lot of space up there that you can tackle, and instead of running the LEDs, you just take all that out and the switch and run all your antennas right here, including running the antennas up here where the fan is, because you're not going to need any of that anymore if you remove the night vision. So another thing too is I'm going to make an attachment to where when somebody wants to keep the night vision, I'm going to go ahead and make another attachment up here that's going to bolt to it, and that'll go ahead and let you bolt the antennas to it. Regardless, it's only going to be for an SDR and maybe a DAC board. That's it, because that's all you're going to be able to fit with the night vision. Other than that, you can fit pretty much all your motherboards in here. Like I mean, your other modules that you're going to do, everything can be stacked in here very, very nicely, and you can fit everything, promise. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so we're going to start off with the frame here. You're going to go ahead and put your heat inserts on both sides. Once those are done, then you're going to bend your 300mm stainless steel rods. The bottom ones you will have to cut. These ones though, you're just going to bend and slide right through the frame. And they go in pretty nice. You don't even have to glue them. The bottom ones I do recommend gluing just because there's not a lot of surface area in there for them to go, so I can just pull these right out if I really tug. I mean, they're in there pretty tight, but if you really tug at them, they'll pull out. So I do have some grills set up in the file that you can go ahead and print out, and they slide in very, very well. And at that point, you just use some CA glue and just glue them right in. If you're gonna go ahead and use the mesh like I did on this model, you're gonna go ahead and have to glue them in slightly just to get them to stay in there. And then you're gonna grab your heat iron and you're gonna slowly kind of hit each edge around there, just to kind of melt the plastic around these. Makes it really strong. And I do like to run the mesh. I think it looks better. But you guys can do whatever you want. It's a lot easier, obviously, to print it. But if you don't want to, go ahead and buy the mesh. So what we got to do with the motherboard, once you go ahead and set the Raspberry Pi on the expansion board, we're going to go ahead and put captive tape on both sides right here. That's going to protect it and insulate it right here from the screen rubbing against this. I also like to put Tessa tape right on top as well. You can use electrical tape if you do not have Tessa tape. I do recommend the Tessa tape, but like I said, if you don't have it, it's not going to be the end of the world. The captive tape is pretty good itself by itself, but I would still recommend putting that. The screen does sit right on here, so definitely protect that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, flip this back. Now, you're going to slide it in until we get to these tabs right here. So we're going to put the bottom in first like that. We're going to look at the other side, make sure it lines up down here, and make sure our bottom power button goes in that hole. So we're pretty much in right here, and then you just slap it in. Now we're fully in, fully clamped in. She ain't going anywhere. I have designed this to where you do not have to screw any of this in. I do have some holes for the screen if you do want to screw in the screen. However, same thing, you do not have to bolt any of this up. Okay, so right after this spot, we're going to go ahead and put the bracket in for the keyboard. Actually, matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and put the screen in first. I'm actually not going to wire the screen as I'm still working on this model, but if you wanted to go ahead and put it in, go ahead and wire up your ribbon cable right here. Slide it through that port right there and you'll be good. Then we're going to go ahead and get the keyboard bracket right here. And then the keyboard is going on next. Now we're pretty much done with the front. I'm going to go ahead and put the bezel. Again, you can go ahead and CNC this out. Just snip the bezel from the 3D print. Make sure it is a 1mm tall thickness. That way it catches it a lot easier. Once you go ahead and do that, then you can go ahead and trace it on your laser machine and just go ahead and size it up to the same size that it is on the CAD profile. Once you do that, then you just laser it out. And keep in mind, I am still working on this model here, and it will get frequent updates as well as attachments and different things like that. I am going to work on something next for others to go ahead and add their modules, like their SDRs and stuff like that. As of right now, I mean, you could add it all, but it's going to be a little bit harsh to get everything inside there with the night vision camera. So if you want to run your modules and stuff like that and you don't care for the night vision, go ahead and adjust that up and go ahead and make your back panel. I did put an open source back panel in the file as well for you guys to go ahead and adjust and make to your specs. So go ahead and do that if you're not going to run the night vision. Alright, there we go. We're starting to see how she looks. Alright, we're going to go to the back. Alright, so what I did was I added some Velcro right here, and we just kind of glue it down just to put it right here. I like to put that there just so when we do run the harnesses here, we can at least place some of them right against the wall right there, and it makes it look a lot nicer. Not necessary, but it is nice. So if you have it, go ahead and do it. It's kind of tough to get these plugs in there. It's not too bad. My fingers are hurting right now. Okay, so now when you have your full harness made, we're going to go ahead and fish this through here. Matter of fact, I'm going to keep this one out of the way first just because this one has a lot more to move through here. And I actually made this harness initially on the cyberdeck. So as I installed the fan and the LEDs, you know, I kind of wired those up together first. Actually, no, the IR lights to that red LED first, and then I wired the fan in there and kind of did it all in the deck. However, I did add a lot of disconnect leads to it, and I just used the basic Raspberry GPIO, you know, wires, and just kind of snip those. You could definitely do it a lot better than I did. And in fact, if you guys have more advice on a better way I can wire this, if I should wire them in parallel and rather than piggybacking them, let me know, please. I'm not an electrician. In fact, I'm not even an electronic guy. This is actually my first attempt to, I've only been doing this for just around 6 months. So this is my first attempt, really, and I'm trying to do it good for y'all, and I hope you guys can help me get it better as well. That's why I actually uploaded this before I'm actually complete, just so you guys can tackle it as well and let me know on different things. So once we got that in, I'm going to go ahead and wire this up right here. Again, be patient too. It's not that easy to get this plugged in right there. If you have some tweezers, it'd be a lot better. Okay, so that's plugged in. Now we can fish this one through. Alright, just like that. So now we're left with a bunch of wires right here. Okay, so now that we got that, we're going to go ahead and get the fan on. So go ahead and print the fan brackets out, which they are in the bed with all all the grills and stuff, you'll see these two L-shaped brackets. You are gonna have to cut one, and I did cut it with just your basic snips. That way it gives you some room back there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some CA glue on this, and the wire is gonna be against the wall. And I almost forgot, I have to file this whole steel right here, so give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and get that done. Okay, went ahead and filed it. Now it's in. Take a look. So now I have this guy right here, which is gonna slide onto that one, and then I got the other one. Where is he at? Right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and wire all this up, and then we'll show you how it looks. Okay, so I got it all wired up. That's how she looks. And those two prongs are gonna plug in to the night vision camera, which again, all these are on the wiring diagram. You can see I just piggybacked them, and then piggybacked the red LED straight from the other IR board right there. It's pretty easy setup. Like I said, if you guys know a better way that I should wire this, let me know. But other than that, we can go ahead and put the 18650s in there. And I just wrap these in that in the 18650 clear wraps, just to give it a nice solid look that matches everything. So I'll go ahead and put those in, and then I'm going to slap the rear cover on, and then we'll see how she looks. So I also bought some tritium vials right here, and since I'm not using any of the GPIO pins, these are just going to go right in here, and it gives it a nice little tactical look at the end. I like it a lot. And I got these tritium vials off Tritium Workshop, and all I did was I made a cylinder on MakerWorld, connected it with a rectangle right here, and then I measured the exterior of the vial, and then I cut a circle out in there with a negative circle, and then cut another circle and pushed it out a little bit. That gives you a little section right there where you can snap it in now. So they don't really snap in, but they do have like a little bit of a snap in there. So we're just gonna slide this in, and then I also lined them up with aluminum foil as well. That gives it a brighter look. So make sure you put some aluminum foil in there before you slide them in. And I want to show you guys a new back panel that I'm working on right now. I have not released this just yet. But I do want to show you what we're working with here. I do have a bezel that's made out of acrylic black, and then we run some of the 2mm rods, and then put some grills right here. And then these are microscope lenses, like what the laboratories use to kind of see stuff. And so all I do is I glue those in with some 2-part epoxy, and then the same thing with those rods. It's all for aesthetics. Alright, there she is, all put together. Alright, thank you guys, and like I said, if there's anything you guys know or any advice that you can give me, let me know. Everything helps, and if you guys have any questions or concerns, go ahead and reach me on my DMs here, and we'll get to it.